The reason why people say, for example, like 54 is the soft cap, they mean that for the 200s. Like, as you can see, like, for example, here the delta is like a 5, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, and then 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, and then so on. Yeah, the delta is, you're gaining less, so that's why like 54 is decent soft cap if you are two-handing the weapons. And of course, two-handing the weapon with the strength scaling, as the dexterity, intelligence, or 5 doesn't have the same properties for the two-handing weapons. It is only related to the strength. Not the case if you're one-handing them. Like the heavy infusion, if you're one-handing your weapon, the delta really like doesn't change all the way up to 80. Here you have 1, 1, 1, 1, 2 after the 80, but up to 80 it's not. Also remember, guys, I swear to fucking god, like I cannot stress it enough, you don't have to meet your soft caps to do damage. You have like weapons that have like a bad scaling, like for example Moonveil, that going to deal shit tons of damage, even if you do not really have much of the intelligence at all. Like you can, like the difference between, for example, my Moonveil that has 40 intelligence, that deals up to like, for example, 1200 damage, and the Moonveil that has only 23 intelligence, which is like bare minimum, is maybe not even 200 damage. Okay, off-stream Stylowski here, and let me elaborate on what I just said, because I guess it is the best to show on the example. So yet again, I have that build, or like not exactly the same build, but quite similar build to what I was using in the video with the 40 intelligence. I have 592 a year on this particular build with the Moonveil in my hand, and what we are doing next is I essentially had that idea to show you how much damage exactly I would do in perfect conditions, but to be honest, I have no idea how to tell what is the motion value for the Moonveil attack, so we are just going to assume that Unsheath has the same motion value. We essentially taking that number of the AR that we have here, 592. We are taking it into the calculator, 592. We are adding the 245 motion value in the basically the percentage. So this is like that. And then we have 1450 under the perfect condition, which means that someone has basically 0 magical defenses. We're supposed to deal that exact amount of the damage, 1450 with the Moonveil R2. You can add to it, for an example, the Alexander's shard, which is the additional 30%. So after that it is 1885.52. Usually optimized builds have that additional amount of the magical defenses of something like 26, 28, absorption, something like that essentially, yeah? Ultimately, if you are going to, let's round it to 25%, yeah? If we are going to do something like that, then essentially that's supposed to be our damage with the Alexander shard, which seems a little bit too much, so I assume that the motion values on the Moonveil are actually a little bit lower than Unsheath, which, yeah, it just would make sense. But now let's level up to the max intelligence. I'm gonna get 78 because I have +2 from the helmet. So now with the max intelligence, my AR actually increased not that much. As you can see, it is like from 592 to 657. So ultimately now, when we are gonna do our calculations again, it is going to be the increase of like 120 damage, if I am not mistaken. Let me see. Well, okay, like it's actually 180. So 180 more damage under the perfect conditions. We can like go further with that yet again. Yeah, we are going to add that Alexander shard. So that's supposed to be probably around 220 more damage, something like that, I would assume, yeah? So yeah, it is essentially a damage increase, but it is really worth to put 40 additional points into the intelligence for the sake to deal 200 more damage on the paper. I would say it is definitely not worth it, especially because there is also like kind of a difference between just dealing more damage and dealing more effective damage, efficient damage. In fact, like 40 intelligence is enough to two-shot basically anyone anyway. Yeah, it's like if you are going to add the magical defenses with that much damage on maxed out intelligence, you are still gonna have to two-shot. Your opponent's still going to have some HP left because you are applying the magical defenses on top of that. So essentially you are ending up in the same situation. You still have to two-shot with the Moon Veil. So instead of that, like, you definitely want to invest in other attributes, preferably, for example, Mind, as more Mind gives you essentially more opportunities to hit your opponent twice. Yeah? You can do more animation cancels with the Moon Veil, you can attempt to hit your opponent more times, and therefore, like, you basically have even better effect than if you would increase the raw damage, yeah? So yeah, this is kind of how it works, and yet again, I cannot stress it enough, you really do not have to meet your soft caps. It is huge misconception. I actually have that one video here called Importance of a Year and Weird Habit of Souls Community, where I'm talking about people being fixated about increasing its numbers and numbers, like min-maxing to the absurd degree. The problem is that, like, this is like a wrong approach to the min-max, because you are min-maxing the number here in the status window in the top right corner. Focusing just on the highest possible number doesn't give you the better build. You are perhaps like min-maxing one particular number, but ultimately you are making your build weaker. And effectively, when you are, for example, sacrificing the amount of mind that you could have on your build in exchange to have simply more intelligence, to have that higher number, you ending up having, like, in fact, less efficient build. In fact, you're just gonna unleash less damage because you hit kind of the diminishing returns on just the amount of the attempts that you can do in, like, quick succession. You just simply cannot use your weapon as much as you could with the base mind. And yeah, that's about it from me. Back to the original video. It's like depends per scaling of the weapon, yeah? For example, like a B scaling is okay-ish, but not that good. And sometimes you just do not really have to meet the soft caps at all. Like if the weapon has S scaling, then yeah, go for it. Like the scaling is just great, and it is always worth to put a lot of the attributes into the S scaling type of the weapon, yeah? But B tier scaling, not always worth it. Usually, in fact, not really worth it. 60 intelligence, yeah, so the magic is completely different topic, Ninja. Like, the soft cap, the first soft cap for magic is 60, the under one is 80. So yeah, like, the magic is different topic. I'm talking only about weapons, yeah? And mostly, like, the magic benefits out of the scaling greatly, yeah? Because, well, it depends on the catalyst, obviously.